speaking. That's why no audio. We are waiting for the webinar person to tell us to start.
Yeah, you can start.
Okay, thank you. So good evening, everyone.
Good evening, ma'am. Yeah, good evening, ma'am.
Good evening. Today we have joined here for a masterclass on documentation and establishing relationships. So as a background, in recent times, we have heard and also read about many incidents and various scams related to living donor transplantation that has come as a shock to us that is so widespread in our country. Most of these scams have been detected due to weak verification of required documents. This masterclass is going to explore this issue in great details by using tested methods of establishing relationship and enhancing the verification processes. We should know how to establish relationship between living donors, whether it is related or unrelated. Today, from the point of NATCO and Mohan Foundation, we have invited a few very senior transplant coordinators to share their real-world cases and experiences. How to strengthen your documentation, your verification, and also how to support the patient in an ethical and legal manner. That is the main aim of our NATCO, alliance. We also have a legal expert to give us his thoughts on the process of documentation and how we can strengthen our own capabilities through that. Let me introduce a few speakers today. Ms. Pranita Rani. She has more than 13 years of experience in hospital environment, and she has worked as a transplant coordinator for 3 years. She has handled more than 60 cases of living donor transplant, and at present, she is working as a transplant coordinator in Apollo Hospital. We have Mr. Guru Rajan M. He has been working in Puducherry as a nursing officer for the past 16 years and has a great experience of how hospitals are managed. For the past 2 years, he is working as a transplant coordinator in JIPMER in Puducherry. He also has done more than 60 living donor transplantation. So they come with a vast, experience. We have Mr. Harish Devina, who has worked in the dialysis field and knows the trouble that a dialysis patient and the family goes through. For 10 years, he has worked in the dialysis field. And for the past 3 years, he is working as a transplant coordinator in Hyderabad in the Vrinchi Hospital. We have a very senior person, Trilly Matthew today, who's a lead officer for Manipal Hospitals in New Delhi. So she's a lead officer for organ transplant. She has more than 1 decade of experience in living donations and transplantation and also published an article on living donor transplantation and how to find out what is a fraud. She has immeasurable experiences in supporting patients to get a transplant. We also have with us a legal expert, Shri Prashant Ajmera ji. He is actually an immigration lawyer, but his interest in transplant law was because of a personal experience, and through which he studied a lot about the law and the processes that support organ donation and transplantation. He has himself worked very hard to change the scenario of living donations in Gujarat as well as in India. So I welcome all of you to the webinar. And we shall have first our transplant coordinators speak about their experiences, followed by comments from Mr. Prashant Ajmera, and then questions and answers. So shall we start? The first speaker for today is Pranita, followed by Guru Rajan, then Harish and Trilly. Okay. So Pranita, you can share your screen now and tell us about the case you want to discuss. Thank you. Yeah, we can see your screen. We can't hear you, Pranita.
She unmuted herself, Pranita.
Shiva, can you check what is happening? Yeah. Okay. Can't hear you. No, cannot hear you. Can anybody hear her?
No, we can't hear her.
No,
No?
yeah, no.
Okay. Printer, can you just check again, please? And
You please log out and log in again if possible, Pranita.
Someone else can present.
yeah,
into
in the
some time.
meanwhile, would Harish like Guru Rajan like to present?
Yes, ma'am. I'm ready.
Okay. Okay. Guru Rajan, please share your slide and present your case.
Yes, ma'am. Am I audible, ma'am?
Yes. Yes.
My screen is visible?
Yes. Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Good evening to all. It's my honor to present in this extensive audience, and I would like to share my experience with this case. We all know each individual case is very different from the other one, so each poses unique challenge. In our hospital, last year we faced this case, and it's a quite bit challenging. So I'm presenting this case today. So background of this case, this 44 years old male gentleman is a known history of CKD with end-stage renal disease on maintenance hemodialysis. His dialysis vintage was 5 years. He had a history of renal stone operated on 2012. He has a known history of hypertension since 2013. On medication, it was controlled one. Initially, patient mother was evaluated as VKD in the outside hospital, but suddenly his mother was passed away. We thought like due to maybe MI, and a patient younger sister came forward for kidney donation. So we in our hospital we have registered under living donor kidney transplant. And first basic workup has been finished. Both donor and recipient was fit. So then we started a immunological workup, and cross match was negative, and both CDC and flow cytometry we have done. Then we started with the document preparation, and all the legal documents like relationship certificate, residence, affidavits, ration card, legal hire, etc. has been produced by both donor and recipient, and it has been proved without any doubt a relationship. And then we started with next genetic test. So this was a quite surprise to us, since genetic test came was 2/6, and a relationship was not established between the donor and relation and its recipient. So repeated genetic test with other younger sister also, it became inconclusive. Both parents has been died in this case. So we couldn't able to do the indirect genetic explanation of the test. And in our hospital policy, only near relative renal transplant only is possible. So is it dead end for the patient? Since we are not doing, patient also cannot go to the other hospital, since so much we have invested time in our process establishment. And how to deal the result to the patient, because since his birth he has know that he has only sister. If we tell genetic test is not proved means, then how much emotional trauma the patient will sustain. Then how to report to the patient. Then how we managed. Initially we gave counseling to the patient and donor. We have thoroughly explained about the result, and our nodal officer, Dr. Shishi Parmesan, has decided to treat the case as not related, and we reported to the state level authorization committee for permission. And we have put entire document to the state level authorization committee. In the first meeting of state level authorization committee, they have seen all the proofs of relationship like relation certificate, rations card, etc. And they have referred back to us. Since it has been relationship has been established, why you are referring like that? They have asked a doubt and sent the file back to us. Then we again we put up a file like genetic test was not been established. So we are asking you to consider as an unrelated living donor. Then again state level authorization committee has given permission, and they gone through all the documents, and they are given finally they given permission for the same. And transplant has been done on 8th month last year, and the patient is doing better right now. So this is a brief history about the case.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much for your sharing this case, wherein all the documents show that there is a direct relationship, but the medical genetics shows that there may not be a direct relationship,
Yes.
right? Yeah,
Yes.
very interesting. Yeah. Pranita, are you ready now? Okay, we can go to the next one. Harish, are you ready?
Yeah,
Okay,
I will
so
share
can you
this.
just share, please?
Yeah.
Pranita, whenever you're ready, just put in the chat, okay? We'll put you on.
Just a minute.
Yes, sure.
There is upload issue. Just
While he's uploading, if there is anybody who has had similar things saying that the paperwork is correct, but the genetics does not prove to be correct, just put a yes in the chat box. Okay? If anybody has had a similar experience.
ma'am, please allow some time. Me also facing issues.
You're having issues?
Yeah, uploading the screen.
Okay. Have you sent it to me by email? Okay. Trilly, are you ready?
Yes, ma'am, I am ready.
Okay. Okay. Just share your case then. Okay.
Good evening, everyone. I have a case on the spousal relationship. So here is a known case of CKD on maintenance dialysis since last 5 years. And the prospective donor is the patient's wife. And the patient came from ex-hospital. That was a non-transplant hospital to our center for the transplant. Yeah. So for the first meeting, the maternal uncle approached me for the transplant to inquire about whether the transplant can happen or not. So I've inquired about the relationship and all, and he said it is he said yes, it's wife. So I've told them that you bring bring the patient and the donor, and then we will start the workup. So in the next visit, the patient arrived to the hospital without accompanying the donor. So when I inquired about the transplant, the relationship and the document, what the transplant coordinator found is that they have an Aadhaar card. Aadhaar card, the date of birth shows 2008, which is less than 18 years of age. And he's saying that this is the only proof which she is having to prove the relationship and to prove the age. So this is one first question mark, that below 18, as per the law, we cannot consider the donor. Now the second is that, and she has got a 5-year-old child. Now the birth certificate of the child is also there. So only two relationship proof document, or you can say identity proof, there is only one document. Now the transplant coordinator, in discussion with the team, we have proceeded, we thought that we will change the date of birth in the Aadhaar card. But again, for that also we require a document to prove that she is born on so and so year. Anyway, we have recommended for a DNA with the child, and the DNA came. We have found that the DNA is a match with the mother, but not with father. So if you think again, it is possible in some times. So again, we sat with the patient and the donor separately. So donor said different story and the patient said in a different story. So I'm not ready to disclose into the class over here. So after next day, what happened, that the patient approached the transplant coordinator to convey that this child is ours and this was born through IVF. So what left transplant coordinator confusing is, if it is IVF, then where are those documents? And if it is IVF, then why did the DNA match? And he neither had documents nor an HLA DNA match. In that case, the question over here is, can we consider this donor legally? So we don't have a document to prove that she doesn't have marriage certificate. As per the law, if the person doesn't have a marriage certificate, then the near relatives affidavit should be there, that stating the marriage date and everything, and a letter from a sarpanch or a MLA or a tehsildar, anyone should be there stating that they are husband and wife. Their family photograph should be there, or any other credible evidences should be there. So affidavit, anyone will make it. Letter, any person will give it to you. So what evidence, on what basis we should carry this transplant?
Yeah.
Himal, I think it's a good idea to bring in Mr. Ajmera after each case.
After each case?
I think so, because otherwise we lose.
Mr. Ajmera, would you like to comment after each case?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Say, particularly this case is a very interesting. So as I understand, still it is not decided, right?
Sorry, sir?
It is not decided yet.
It is not decided yet. They
Not
have
decided,
approached
yes.
some other hospital, and there they have gone and said,
Right. See the question. I got it. See, I'm an immigration lawyer. So sometimes people say that, how do you understand the transplant coordinator's job? I understand your job exactly, because I deal with the marriage cases where we have to prove the marriage and people immigrating to different countries, and we always get the different kind of. Particularly in your case, what I've seen is that what we need to do is more systematic way of collecting the documents and the facts from the beginning to end. I'll show you in my presentation as well. Then if you go in a systematic manner, because what I have seen over the period of time talking to several one of you, that we take the information in bits and pieces. Whereas my practice has remained is to collect the information from beginning to end. So like from beginning to end, what do I mean by that is from birth till date that you provide us. And unfortunately, we don't document that one systematically or take the information. We use the generally those one. So if you try to take these informations in the details and means you are very right in saying that one not to use the affidavit, letter is not there, but the photographs and all those things, what has happened at the marriage, those details he has to provide in his own words and things like that one, particularly if they got married, where they were born, if it was through IVF. These are the good things you have done it to do it. So if it goes on those bases, and basically if your hospital had a detailed questionnaire to get the information from the clients, because you collect the documents, but your information is not in front of you in detail to consider by your hospital committee and also to consider by the state authorization committee, right? So generally my recommendation to you would be that probably hospitals or your association wants to develop a kind of a form whereby the particular information about the donor and the recipients are received. Plus, when it is a related and a marriage case, because that's where we see the most of the time the people are becoming very creative. And when it is unrelated and we want to do it, if we go on that basis, collecting the information first, step by step, year by year, I would say year by year, and then supporting documents, you get it, you will have a better case to present it, either say yes or a no. We are not obliged to say yes to every case. We have a right to say no. But if we say no, it should be reasoned with the proper documents. If we say yes, then it should be reasoned that this is the reason we believe we do it. Like if we saw in earlier case, which Guru Raj mentioned, that even DNA didn't match, but he collected the good documents that the ethics committee in second round there to say that, okay, DNA doesn't match, but we have to do it. So I think our job is to collect the information and documents. If you do it in a systematic manner over the period of time for both, then I think you will have a better case. I can discuss with you separately and advise you more than how to go about it and do it once we are finished on that one.
So 1 second. Here, what we have done is that I have checked the entire
don't know what
document
you're
list,
talking.
what he
Fine.
had in their home. So he doesn't have a insurance. He doesn't have any medical insurance or voter ID card or
Let's talk really after this one, because I think a particular case we can discuss offline. Unless everybody allows, then I don't mind talking, but otherwise I think we can talk offline, and then we can discuss more detail. Probably you will be more comfortable to give you the information. Thank you, Trailing.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, but it's an interesting case. I would love to help you out.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, really, you can discuss openly after everybody has finished their talk, because whatever questions you have, all the rest of us also would like to know the answers, you know.
Okay.
So we have, at one time, we have answers for at least 80, 90 of us, right?
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Mr. Ajmera, for your comments. I request now Pranita to start sharing if she's ready.
Yes, ma'am. Am
Yeah,
I
thank you
audible to
so
you, ma'am?
Yes, very much. Harish, you also get ready now?
I am also.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Hello, ma'am. My screen is visible to everyone, ma'am.
No, you have to click once
To
again
open
so
this.
that it opens up.
It is on my desktop. It is open, ma'am.
No, it's not opening here.
Then
Just
you
change
do
the window.
then
Share.
you do one thing. You just do the stop screen sharing. Then you go back to your PPT. Then you start sharing your screen.
These are also learnings for all of us. How to share a screen. Open it first in your computer and then share it, because some of us are doing it for the first or second time, you know, so but I'm glad that new people have joined us and are sharing their cases.
Is that visible now?
Not just now. We will give it a minute or so. Have you shared it now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, let me just check. Not as yet, Pranita.
Pranita, after opening your PPT, then come back
Yes,
to
sir.
Zoom screen. Okay, from there, click
I've
share
given the
screen.
screen share. So is that open now, sir?
No.
Pranita, just share your case. Don't have to present slide. It's okay.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah, okay.
Hello. Sir, is
Yeah.
that visible now, sir?
Yes.
Sorry, everyone, that was so late. Good evening, everyone. The case which I'm going to share is organ kidney. And the case which I am presenting today, I made my presentation very crisp and small. The case for discussion, Mr. Raman and Mr. Venki, the names are being changed in the presentation. Relationship was like relationship brother-in-law and co-brother. That means recipient's sister's husband as the donor. In this case, it is very easy to prove the relationship, but depending on the case, sometimes lack of documentation, we faced a lot of late delay in the case for the approval. So the recipient of the family, the case was like this: the parents of the recipient expired, brother was diabetic, and wife was diabetic, and children are small. So the sister, one who was there, she passed away 27 years back, and then the husband came as a donor. In this case, a recipient sister's husband, that means the donor got married, Mrs. Narayanamma, in the year of 1986. And she gave birth for 4 children, and she passed away during her last childbirth after 4 months of the baby. And all kids are born at home, and they were in a different village when they started. When they were childhood, they were in a different village. After marriage, she went to another village called as Chikkalapur and then moved to Kolar. And the documentation to the state committee, initially what we did, we collected all the documentation like their ID proofs, address proofs, and the relationship proof, whichever the document was available, wherever the mother's name available with the kids. And along with that, we mentioned the DNA report of the father who's the donor, and we submitted to the committee. And committee, instead of that, we have 2 documents which we didn't had on the time. That was a death certificate of the donor's wife and marriage certificate of the donor. So we didn't have the document for death certificate. We have submitted non-availability certificate that is Form 10 as a supporting document. Then the committee was called, and during the committee, these documents were verified, and personally when they doing the interview, they also got out like they wanted to prove the 2 relationship, that is, one is between the recipient and the sister, and the other relation which was like a donor and her wife. So we didn't had a marriage certificate, so we could prove the documentation that few of the documents like the property had the donor's wife name, so we proved the documents. And other thing which was very difficult for us was to prove the relationship between the recipient and the recipient's sister. So we found all the we segregated all the documents, and we did not had anywhere like their childhood photos. We didn't had because the donor's brother was donor wife brother was sent to hostel during the childhood from a village, and he was not with them for many years till the completion of study. And the committee asked us the documents to be found one document later on. That was the certificate issued by the school during the 10th standard. The conclusion documents what we submitted was the certificate cumulative record of SSLC, that is recipient's cumulative record, which has the family details, and the certificate of the school of the recipient sister who passed away 27 years back. And we came to know that from one of the villagers saying that she was sent to school till 2nd standard. So we went to school. We found out the document. Their mother's name was written, father's name was written, and in cumulative record we found that both parents' name in the record, and there's a sibling's name also. So with that, we could prove the documentation. We faced the challenges here was presenting the relationship between the recipient and recipient sister after that. And marriage certificate, there was a panchayat letter which was required, and we could not get that letter. And getting an affidavit from the villagers present during the donor's wedding and applying for the death certificate during the transplant. These were the challenges that we faced during the committee. So 2 months later, we could get all the documents, and then we submitted it and we got the approval. The transplant is done very well. The patient donor doing very well now.
Thank you. Thank you, Pranita, for an interesting case where you went back to the childhood of the patient and his deceased sister and found out the documents. It's amazing how much hard work you have done for it. Mr. Ajmera, what comments would you have for this case?
That's the ideal case. That if the things has happened for the relationship, whether it's a living or a husband and wife or a non-related, if you go after the document, people hasn't come out of the parachutes from the sky. The document has to be there. You have to use the logic. There is no law here. It's just a common sense. We have to use it. And if you continue doing that one, and if it is a real relationship, the document will always come out. Because see, I have always seen the mentality of the people, nahi hai documents. We don't have this document. So it's very difficult to get it. But then we have to be firm as a transplant coordinators. I do it with my client as well, that if you don't do this one, it's not going to go further. But also we have to help them where to get it as well, or to help them, because if they are not very educated, if they are not good in English language, if we do that one, and if it is a genuine case, we will always find a case, the documents and the relationship where your hospital committee, yourself, and even the government ethics committee will get convinced that, okay, we don't have a direct evidence, but we have a secondary evidence or documents are there, which we can help. So that's Parinita has presented a very nice case, and I think she has done a fantastic job in getting this approved when there is a genuine case. It's for the benefit of the patients. Congratulations, Parinita.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, Harish, are you ready now?
Yeah, ma'am.
Okay, can you please share your document? You're having a problem, Harish?
Yeah, again, ma'am. Yes.
Okay.
Actually, I'm logging my mobile through my mobile.
Not happening. Mr. Rajimina, you could start your presentation till Harish comes back.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah. Harish, let me know when you open, or you send me by email. I'll share it. Okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Rajmera, can you start?
Yeah. So can you see it?
Yes, please.
So basically, I want to show you this one page, organ transplantation. when our transplant doctors are doing their operations, they use this large volume, which cost almost 60,000-70,000 rupees. Then how to perform a transplantation operations? Do we have anything like that one for our transplant coordinator? Probably not. So if we go to the act, what it says as a duty of the transplant coordinator is very qualification and job duty. That person should be paramedic or a social worker qualification, assist in transplant operations, process and coordinations, counsel the family for donation and conflict of interest. This is the definition given in the law. But what we are expecting from them is the documentation, that it is just collecting the documents, no legal education or training to collect the documents and advise the patients and family about the same. And we are expecting the miracle from the transplant coordinator. I think basically I mentioned the other day as well that the job duty of the transplant coordinator has become quite complex and burdensome. And when I dealt with personally with the several transplant coordinators, and one of them is here as well, I was angry at that time because I was a patient. But when I looked into more closely, then I realized that you guys are overburdened with the job duty, medical, psychological, and a legal challenges you have it. So what tools are needed to do the transplant coordinator jobs? You should have some relevant education. You should have a procedural manual and continuous training you need it to do your job, particularly when it comes to this documentation, because it is becoming more and more challenging. Remember, this is a question of life and death. So there are going to be families and patients are there who become very creative with the documents because it's their life. So for them, the morals and ethics might be on the one side, but it's our duties to make it sure. But at the same time, I think we need to have our trainings and our due diligence and a necessary tool. We don't have any tools. Like if I look at all the 100 transplant coordinators are here on this, if I ask them that, do you have any tools provided by your hospitals or your management or a group of hospitals, most probably I'll get an answer no. That you are not given a tool and then they are expecting a miracle out of you that you do your jobs. I think that's not fair. So the right tool makes all the difference if you have it. But if you don't have it, the life becomes very, very difficult. There's a very good quote from the Abraham Lincoln, which says, give me the 6 hours to chop down a tree, and I'll spend the first 4 hours sharpening my axe. And like if the people takes a job as a transplant coordinators, I'm working with several hospitals in South, in Delhi, in Gujarat, and I've seen like every few months, the transplant coordinators are changed because very high turnaround. I'm sure that some of you might agree as well. It's because you've not been given a proper education, tool, procedural manuals to do your jobs. And without that, it's obviously you are at lost. Using the wrong tool for the job can be frustrating, which you guys are feeling. Time consuming, it takes a lot of time before you figure it out that whether it's a genuine relationships or not. And even it could be dangerous, which is basically like in this case, if you have a tomato and you use the different tool, what is going to happen to the tomato? It's probably is going to get squashed. So what do we do or what we need to do it? I'll give you a very quick summary, the way in which I deal with my case, similar to yours, that number one, develop the art of collecting information or facts. That systematically you as a transplant coordinator, you want to develop your own system. If everybody agrees, if the association agrees, if the government agrees, I'll be more than happy to develop this kind of a tools and collecting information or facts. Number two, create a detailed forms to collect the information. Yes, the NOTO and under the act, the forms are there, but these are regulatory forms, gives you a very basic information, legal requirement. But when you have to establish the relationships, I haven't seen any hospitals or any transplant coordinators. I talked to a lot of them. They have not developed any forms or a way to collect the information. The documents are there, but the informations are not put it in a writing to see the whole history of the patients. The medical history would be there, like how he got the CKDs and what happens and what tests being done. But when it comes to the documentation and when it's a more complex case, do we have a systematic way of collecting the informations and the supporting documents? Also, if we develop this kind of a documentations, I think we should say very clearly in that document a disclaimer that any incorrect or fabricated informations or document provided in an offense is an offense under section so-and-so of Indian Penal Code and will be reported to the police. When you have this kind of a things and when person is filling up the forms, he realizes or he will shaken that if I provide something incorrect, probably I can go to the police. That way, you can basically stop a lot of people who are trying to abuse the system. Everybody is not like that. But remember, one very senior doctor said to me that 5 or 7% of the patients, the whole system is suffering, particularly in transplantations and living donations cases. Also, it's a patient's duty. You have to be very clear in your documentations. I believe legally that it's your duty to prove us the relationships. We're not going to go out and find you help you make your case. It's your duty to prove the relationship to us. Yeah, as a transplant coordinator, you may assist them, you may advise them, but it is ultimately their duty to do it. Chronological order. As I mentioned to the Trilly, that start from the birth in your forms that and go year by year until the present date, that what is the history of the donor and what is the history of the recipients. Activity detail. Ask what they did during each period. Educations, where they've done it, which school they went to, or who were the class teachers were there. And we can make up a detailed forms to get all this information. And when the person start giving this information, you know that he is talking. When he start fumbling about his education, about his job, about his business or an employment, then you know that these are the areas where there is a problem. Residence histories. This is also very, very important, that where he has lived. Person must have lived somewhere, even if he's living in a slums, if he's living in a very poor places, or he's living in a proper address. But if he says that, oh, I don't remember where I lived. No, I mean, people know, unless he's unsound mind, people know where they've lived. And when you lived in a particular place, there are people next to you who are aware of you. I mean, it doesn't happen out of the air. Ensure the dates and no gaps in the informations provided. When we do the case and that similar things, I advise to you that systematically you take the informations from the patients and this ones, that year by year, what you've done it. And if these informations are coming to you very in a systematic manner, and then when case becomes complicated, like a couple of cases we hear, we need some additional information as well to provide them. But if we have all this information systematically, then it becomes easier for you as a transplant coordinator and your team or an assistant to understand. It's your hospital ethics committee becomes easier to understand the case. And when it goes to the state government authorities, it becomes easier for them as well. And say, for example, this case goes to High Court. We don't want to see this situation, but if it goes to the High Court, at least we can say that we have made all our efforts in collecting the information. In the case, if you rejected it, if you have not rejected it, then you don't have to worry about it. If you have approved it, then everybody is happy and it's fine. Because I have seen and I've read like number of cases which you see on my website, oneindia1law.com. In number of cases, all the cases and judgment I read, about 35 of them are there. The judge has gone not to the law comes afterwards. He's trying to gather the information or the facts of the case. And when he gets the facts of the case, to applying the law is very simple. So that's in general I do it. Particularly I talk about for the marriage cases. When it comes to the marriage cases, you know, those cases are generally of a more abuse or the system is abused. So collect the photos, evidence such as joint bank accounts, insurance, lease, marriage certificates, support documents related to that. Marriage ceremonies and other wedding events like in honeymoons, parties, whatever that happens, family trips, they've attended the family weddings together. So all those things and informations, you can ask them if you are in a doubt about the marriage or a weddings or anything happening. Family members who remain present or who are aware of the relationships. and their name and address and all these things. You are doing these things. Many of you are doing already all of these things, but it has to be done in a systematic manner where the record remains with the hospital's ethics, the transplant coordinators, with the ethics committee of the hospitals, and with the government. So the whole file is created where if it is rejected or a challenge, then we do it. Means if it is a genuine relationship, but still we want to prove beyond the doubts. And if we take care of this kind of a documentations being done, irrespective of what the other person is doing or trying to do as a patient or patient families, at least you have done your jobs properly. By not having a proper information and just saying yes is dangerous. But by not having a one document and saying no is also dangerous. That is a genuine case and you are saying no and somebody's life is there. Life is at the risk. On the other side, if it is a fake case or a fake documents are case and under the pressures without collecting the proper documents, if you say yes to it, then we are all facing the legal challenges and criminal cases and frauds we hear all the times from the different hospitals. Divorce cases. I've seen that person say that, oh, my wife is divorced and this is my new wife. I have seen these cases as well. Generally, they come up with the stamp papers, said, oh, we are divorced like this one. Do not accept that one. Those documents anybody can prepare it that we are divorced. So if there is a divorce, then you must accept only court decree. You have to say very simply and say that if you are divorced with the first wife and if you get married second time, we need to have a court decree. And if we don't have it, we cannot accept it because the second marriage becomes illegal marriage under the Hindu law and most of the law in India. Do not accept affidavit. Shelly said very easily, very nicely in her case that creating an affidavit is very easy. It's we call it as a lawyer, we call it a self-serving documents that I want to save my life or I'm a recipient or a donor. I want to leave. So I will ask anybody to prepare any kind of an affidavit. So the affidavit would be a last resources. And generally, if the affidavit comes up, we use sometimes the affidavit to support the case. But then those affidavits should be very detailed one, not like a 2 lines that I know this person and I was there at their weddings or I know as per my knowledge they are married. No, that doesn't work. It has to be more detailed affidavit if you want to use it, and it should be substantiated by the evidence as well that why they are aware of this marriage or a divorce and so on and so forth. Documents, certifications, verifications. I know that this question was asked to me. Request the issuing authority to verify the documents and send them to transplant coordinator. Because I think in many of the hospitals in South, the process is that if they are in a doubt or by way of routine, they said that the police has to verify the documents. I don't think that is required or it has become a practice in South. But what would be more appropriate to do is 2-3 suggestions I'm making here is that a person says that if he comes to a Bangalore in a hospital and he is coming from, say, Delhi, then your hospital or as a transplant coordinators can issue a letter requesting that birth and death registry and giving it to the patients that go to your birth and death registry, ask them to certify your birth certificate and send it to our hospital address to transplant coordinator directly. That could be one of the way to do it. I don't know how much we can get cooperations, but that's one of the way we have done it in number of cases. That's the foreign governments when they want an Indian documents verified, this is the process they use it for the education documents, for the marriage documents. So why can't we adopt similar kind of situations or process here as well, rather than going to the police department and say, now let the police verify the documents. But remember, with due respect to the police departments, you know what will happen to the patient's family go there and to verify these documents, what difficulties there to go through it. So in order to help the patients, I think we need to have a better and a lawful system in a way to verify the documents. Another one is issue the verification letters also, as I mentioned, and develop the forms accordingly. That verification, whatever the documents needed from a particular authorities, and if you are in a doubt or if you need to get it verified, you can write a letter. But this can become a very standard format. Adopt the postal system. This is the very useful system. It is existing in India right now. All the European governments are using this to verify the birth certificate, to verify the marriage documents, to verify the education documents. It is established by the Ministry of External Affairs, Government of India, whereby the documents are presented to the local authorities, and there are government approved agencies are there across India, where they go to the source of the documents and get the document verified. When these documents comes in your hand, then you do not have to worry about it, that you got the document verified. Now, what is happening in the present case, I mean, I don't want to generalize, but what I hear from the few cases that the transplant coordinators and hospital system is that, okay, give it to the local police or ask the patient to go and get the documents verified. Even if they verify it, I don't think that the police authority has a system where they're going to get the documents verified. If the documents are coming from an Assam, do you think that the police department in Chennai will inquire with this the birth and death registry in Assam? I don't think so. So they will do their own way of doing it. Rather than that, why don't we use this established system to verify the documents, particularly the birth certificate, marriage certificate, education document, and other documents, where we can get it very systematically. Request the documents and also provide on how to obtain them. Because if you say that, okay, go and get the particular documents, but if you do not provide that how to get it or where to get it, you are putting the patients and the families of donor and recipient in a frustration situation. You're not asking them to fabricate the document, but I think as a hospital, you have to tell them that if you are asking for the documents, how to get it and where to get it, or which authority to get it. So just concluding my talk, transplant coordinators are not legal experts, so do not try to interpret the law, but you are there to fact-finding mission. Find your facts, collect the informations and find the informations. When you find the informations, then do you have collected documents to support that information? That if somebody says, this is my relationship, this is what it is, and so forth. So do we have these documents to support that? And then arrange the documents as per the date. It is very important that we go with the documents in a very systematic manner from the birth till date. Provide the complete list of documents to the patients when they come to you in a one time. If you want to make, I'm telling you from my personal experience and also talking to the other people, that as a transplant coordinators, if you develop a system, if you want to make your job easy, if you want to make your patient's job easy and the donor's job easy, develop a system within your system of the hospital and provide whatever the documents you need in a one time. Do not ask them to go again and again back and forth. And that is the most frustrating experience people have it, patients have it, when you are asking that, okay, you get this document, you get this document. Oh, I forgot this. That's not very helpful. And I'm sure that you guys are all doing it, but digitalizations of the documents in PDF file to record, having a complete record in a systematic manner, if you create it, it would be easier for everybody in the system. And this is what I try to suggest. I mean, as I said before, if we want to collectively develop this kind of a system, forms and the evidence, and make these documents and the procedural manuals and forms available in the local language. Because if I create everything in English, and if you take it to in Kerala or even in Gujarat in a remote area where the English language is not that prevalent, I think we should have it in one of the local language as well. And if that becomes a local language available, for everybody, I think life would be very easy for patients and people to realize it that, look, even if it is a live donations, we have to provide a lot of documents. And also, I think when it comes to the counseling, you have to tell the patients that, sir, we are not trying to make your life difficult. This is the legal requirement. that we have to prove, you have to prove to us, and we have to prove it to the government that this is a legitimate and real relationships. And if we do not provide the documents, we cannot go ahead. You have to continuously help them in doing that one. And if we do that one and collecting the documents and facts together, I think it would be very easy to do it. It's not that difficult task, but it's a developing an art. Like when I become a lawyer, my uncle told me, I was trying to read the law books all the time. And this is the one advice which he gave me almost, I think 40 years back, that Prashant, if you are a lawyer and if you want to become a good lawyer, forget about the law. Don't learn the law. If you have developed the art of collecting the facts of a case, and if you can present your facts very well before the judge or before the any authority, the law will take care of it automatically. And it has been true till date. In all my immigration practice, I dealt with hundreds and hundreds of cases like you, that you are dealing with the patient cases. I'm dealing with the marriage cases, marriage relationships. I have dealt with the DNA cases with America. I have dealt with the IVF cases with America, in Canada, non-related document relationships and people trying to prove. But if we start collecting the correct information and supporting documents, it takes time. It takes time. But if we do that one, the job would be easy for everybody. And it would be a good experience for you, less headache for you, good experience for patient and the family. And at the same time, it's good experience for the ethics committee. They also feel confident that, okay, documents coming to us is very well documented, that we can say with confidence, yes or no, rather than say, what do you think? And then they just put a stamp on this one, whether it's say yes or no, or send the file back to them. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you for your time. And I think we have one more presentation, and then we'll take the more general questions on this. I'll stop my presentation. Thank you.
Well,
Thank you,
unmute
Mr.
yourself.
Ajmal. Yeah, thank you, Ajmera, for the well-defined presentation and always thinking about transplant coordinators from their point of view. I really appreciate your, presentation and keeping it so concise and precise about it. I'll just share now because I have got his presentation. I will share the presentation and then we can go ahead. Harish, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Yes, okay. I'll present your case, okay?
Yeah, thank you.
Can you see it now?
Yes.
Okay, you can talk, Harish.
Yeah, this case came last week. Recipient wife is not able to give the donation due to she has a kidney problem, less kidney function, and daughter is not willing, and son also as well as not willing due to unmarried. Recipient parents, father was died, mother was cancer patient, so they are not able to donate kidney to son. Now, donor is a patient's wife, aunt, means wife, mother, sister. Wife, mother is also expired. Due to that, nobody is not willing to give the kidney. We approached to DME for NOC. They are asking a lot of documents, donor and relationship documents and local residential certificate, police verification certificate, and all the things. We submitted the family photos also, but DMA people asking old family photos of recipient and donor. We find out the old 10 years back, 15 years back photos also in the functions and family functions and all the things. Photos also we submitted. Now file is in DME and we proved the HLA also. We have done here. Next slide, ma'am. This is the HLA we have done for genetic relation. First pair we have done patient wife, and daughter. We have to prove that this is the marriage this marriage is establishment. And second is the patient, donor, and patient wife. Patient wife and donor is the relation that proved in the HLA. That genetic is proved in the HLA, 50% of match. This haplotype. Then they issued the Form 5, the relationship established. Next slide, ma'am. Yeah, this is the Form 5 they issued. If Form 5 is not getting, we have ready to go to approach the fingerprint DNA for donor and wife for relationship establishment. But fortunately, we got the Form 5 from a lab. The relationship is establishment. That way, we are not supposed to go to fingerprint DNA. The file was also submitted along with all documents, residential certificate, marriage certificates, and they are asking the patient brother, sister who has there, why they are not giving. We are submitting the not, if patient is the sister or brother, whoever not willing, they submitted the not willing affidavits as well as if the patients anyone there not fit certificate and affidavit also we submitted. All the documents we submitted. Now case is in DME. And we submitted the bank statement also last 3 years. There is no financial transaction between all the family members or donor and all the things.
Okay. Thank you so much for this presentation, Harish, where
Thank
you
you,
have
ma'am.
to go to the wife's aunt for
Yes, ma'am.
as a donor, and when the wife's mother is not present, and how do you do it? Thank you for the hard work you have put in. Any comments, Mr. Ajmera?
Yeah, I think again, it's a question of documentation. So that if we are bringing the aunt as the donor, and then there is a match, and I think they've done a good job with the showing with the DNAs, and the fingerprint is not required, and match is done. So with that document, I think probably the government authority will take a little bit of time, but it should get an approved. It should get approved.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you.
We are waiting for that.
Yeah. So along
you.
with the photographs and everything, you still needed to give the HLA match, right? Even
Yes,
if you
ma'am.
have documents, you had to do it because it is more like an unrelated case here.
Yes.
So we do have a few questions. I had sent an email to everybody who had registered that this discussion is happening. So there were some questions that came up. What are the documents related to swap transplants? What are the documents to be put up for ABO incompatibility? If there is a stepmother or a stepbrother donating, what are the ways to, which forms do you need or which documents do you need? So now we are open to answering all these questions, and then I'll take questions from the people who are in the webinar masterclass to ask that questions also. So would anybody want to answer? Anybody has a case with stepbrother, stepsister, stepmother doing a donation? Nobody has? ABO incompatible transplant?
Good evening.
Yes, please.
Good evening, Hemal. I would like to just share. I had a case wherein stepmother was a willing donor and
Please
father was
introduce
medically
yourself.
not fit. I'm
Please
sorry.
introduce
This is
yourself.
Brinda Pusarkar. And I checked with, and then again I have reconfirmed with Ajmera sir. He also was the same opinion that if it is a stepmother, you should deal the case as an unrelated case and not related case. That's how we had proceed the case. So when it comes to stepmother, it is unrelated.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we consider, but I think then what we wanted to show, I remember that case. I think it was in the last winter, right, Vinda?
Last 2 months prior, sir. 2 months prior,
right.
sir.
So I said that consider it that one, but if it is they are living together, they are in the same house, and if the love and affection can be shown, then go on that basis because the law doesn't allow. And if the mother is there as a stepmother's and love and affection is shown, then why not it work? So did it work, or are you still waiting for the approval?
Yes, it did. It did work, sir.
Right. Okay. Very good. Congratulations.
Thank you. And anybody who's done ABO incompatible, how is that taken up?
Yes, ma'am. I am
Yes.
from Guru Rajan from Jikmar, Pondicherry. ABU is like only the method of workup is different. Otherwise,
Okay.
document-wise, it's same only.
If it is a related, it is related donation. Is unrelated.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
fine,
yes,
fine.
yes. Only the medical part is different. So we need not worry about this.
Yes. Okay. Right. 1 minute, more minute. Swab transplant documentation. One more person has asked.
Ma'am, regarding to swab transplant, if the swab, normally why do we do the swab transplant? In case if any family member that is cross match is positive or they are not fit for the for that particular recipient and donor, then we go ahead with the swab transplant, ma'am. Again, sometimes few people are not willing to do the ABO incompatible transplant. Then that time donor and we'll swap between those two couples. For this documentation, what we need to do, same documentation, what we give it, genetically related relatives in the sense, we give it as a genetically relation proofs, and also the certificates which says that they are not fit for transplant. That means if they are not or fit, other they are cross matches as positive, those certificate along with the medical documentation we need to attach and submit, ma'am. This will come as a unrelated case.
Unrelated case.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. There's one more question.
Ma'am, one addition. Swab transplant is only possible between the near related as per the amended law 2011. And Form 20, though we consider this as an unrelated case, we don't require bank statement or Form 20 in swab transplant.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
And recently, last year, this is Harish, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yeah, last year we have done interstate swab transplant. One pair is from Chhattisgarh, one pair is from Telangana. So documentation is the same, but we are taken from NOC from Chhattisgarh government also, as well as this Telangana patient and donor went to Chhattisgarh DMG. They attend the meeting and they will get the NOC, and they came here, and with NOC we submit the case to DMG.
Which law are you following? Is it 2014 rules or 1994 law?
As per DME rules only we follow, ma'am. There is in Telangana, they are not registered in NOTO.
Telangana has got their own law.
Yes. And AP and Telangana, they have their own.
Your own law. Okay.
Yes.
Otherwise, in those are following 2014 rules. We don't require a Form 20 and a bank statement. Yes.
Okay.
So there's one more question here. A simple letter from, yes? Yeah?
Yes.
Okay. A simple letter from a near relative saying that he's not willing to be a donor. How is this considered in court? It is not about the genuineness of the letter, but about the genuineness of the whole case. So how does the court consider that I do not want to donate to my near relative? So he or she has to find somebody else.
Yeah, but see, you cannot force, or law doesn't say, to everybody that if you have a relative, then they have to give you no objection certificates. They have to say no. Even in my case, I have 3 children, and it was very strongly argued by the government lawyer in Ahmedabad in November 2021 for 1.5 days. And their major argument was that Mrs. Ajmera has 3 children, why they are not donating. And the court says very specifically in that case that it's none of your business. Law doesn't say that you rule out those options, go through them on the test, then you show them that they are not matching. Even if the recipient might say as a mother that I do not want to take a kidney or the organ from my children when they are like under the age of probably between 18 and 25 or 28, that rather I suffer this one than taking something from my children. But I know that it has become a practice and it has been forced by the court I mean, the government departments and this one that rule out this one, but law doesn't require that you have to say this one. It's your choice. I mean, as an adult, I say, I don't want to donate. I don't want to donate.
But yet still most of the
Good
committees
evening. I
want
would
a
like
letter.
to,
Yeah,
I would like
because
to add here.
Yes, Vrinda.
yeah,
Sorry. I would like to add here. It had happened in our case wherein we had this is that swap transplant. Both wives were willing to donate to their husbands, and they again the committee, external committee asked for the affidavit from brother. Then the recipient said, "My brother is not even willing to see whether I'm alive or not. So how come you are expecting a affidavit from my brother saying that he's not donating?" And then the committee accepted this argument, and they asked not to. No, they didn't force letter to ask for such affidavit.
I'll tell you again. Sorry, means that even all the government committees, they are also not trained and they have no idea. And generally, the job is being done by some clerical departments, and then they keep asking the documents to go beyond the doubt and make the things difficult. And that's why, well, now there is probably many of you might be aware of it, that the NATO is considering this legal reforms again in a transplant law. And they are doing the Chintan Shivir on 30 and 31st of August. I'm a part of that committee as well. And I've given a lot of feedback and the clarifications what we need for the act and what is required, that how these transplant committee should be, the government committee people should be trained, who should be there, why we are not developing at the central government level, the manuals that these people who are sitting there, who has no idea, but he is an NGO or he is a government officer, comes there and sits there and he start making the decisions. Without any training, you are sitting on making a decision on somebody's life and death. And with that becomes a very challenging. So I think that needs to be corrected as well. And that is one of the recommendations I have given it to the central government, that when people are sitting, why there is no lawyer is there? Why some retired Mamlatdar or the High Court judge is not there in this committee, rather than people at large you have taken up, or local city councillors you have taken, or some NGO people you have taken in who has no idea about the documentations. And they are there sitting there, or you are it's a government hospitals and you are a chief medical officer, and then you are sitting on that ethics committee. With the due respect to doctors, doctor has informations and expertise in medical field, not in the legal field. And they understand that argument, that yes, in this committees, I think they want to give a recommendation that probably at least one or lawyers and retired officer as a Mamlatdar, or they should be there to make the decision more clearly. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your comments. There's one more question here. What is the minimum marriage duration for a spousal donation to happen? Is there a transplant coordinator who can answer? When is the earliest a spouse can donate to a spouse?
Next day. It could be next day. It could be a next day.
I think for
see,
women,
now
I
the
think
question
they
is
wait for
going to be
7 years
here.
or 10 years, right? What is the practical thing? What are they doing practically?
See, the practical thing is, two things can happen, ma'am, here. One is that I'm, say, for age of 45 or something, I've already married. My wife's kidney is not matching me. And now I'm divorcing my wife and I'm getting married to somebody whose kidney is matching and giving me the documents. Then it is a fake case, right? Because you got married. So it's the ideal point, it would be that when the patients identified his kidney problem, that's what we have to look at it, not the marriage duration. That doesn't make sense. What we have to do is, okay, I already knew in 2020 that I have a CKD. I've already married. Now I would divorce my wife in 2023. And now I'm getting married to somebody in 2024 and coming to the hospital that she is my wife, his kidney is matching me. Do this one. It's a red flag.
Yeah. Actually,
and another case, I'll give you another hypothetical example. I'm unmarried. I'm 24 years old, and my family is very wealthy, well-to-do, and I'm getting married. And he says, my wife is a donor. Again, I knew when I was 20 years old or 21 years old that I have a CKD, and now I'm 26 years old. I'm getting married on 27 years. And now within 6 months or 2 months' times, the wife comes up and he says, okay, I'm going to be a donor. That's a red flag.
Sir, in actual scenario in India, the patients hide their diagnosis or comorbidities to cover up in insurance. In that case, how can we believe on all those things that they got married only before the diagnosis happened?
See, if you are, with the insurance, they are doing it. I agree with you that people are hiding it. They do not declare it on their insurance. But he must be going through the dialysis. He might be taking the treatment as well. He might be taking the tablets as well for all these things. Like my wife has gone through, first time when she came to know, it was 2019 and she was operated in 2000. So before you come to the transplant, probably there must be a history. Then the medical report, you have to get it done, right? He has hide it from somebody else from the insurance point of view. But medical history should be there to show it. Because I know the marriage cases are challenging cases. Each case is individual, but we have to, as a transplant coordinator, we have to dig into more into this one. He had hide it, no, I didn't have it anything. But I'm sure that he must be taking some medications, consulting the doctors, going to the nephrologists, going to the dialysis centers, whatever he might be doing it, taking an alternative medicine. A lot of people are doing that one. So that means you are aware of it, your conditions. And now you are getting married and bringing it in. And also I would like to interview the wife and wife's family that when you guys get married, are you aware of it? That he had the CKD problem? Because the boys or girls side might have had these situations to the wife and their families that he had these problems. And then after a while they do it. It's a very unique case by case. It's difficult to generalize, but it's not that difficult to dig out and cross-examine these people and provide the documents.
Thank you. There's one more.
Hello?
Just I think I shall leave it for one last
Hello?
because we really, yes. Anybody wants to say or shall I just ask?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr.
Hello?
Raju Jhala is
Hello?
asking.
Yes, ma'am. Myself, Raj.
Okay, ask Raju. Ask.
Question is to Ajmera, sir. Sir, yes, ma'am. Ajmera, sir, my question to you, that's if we consider the living donor, those who have criminal records.
Yeah.
Can
Hello?
we take a
Sir,
transplant from them?
can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Yeah. Can we? Yeah, sir, can we consider the living donor as who is having a criminal records?
Right.
And it is proved by consider that donor as a living donor as per the law?
Yeah, of course. There is a judgment by the High Court. I think it was Hyderabad High Court or Chennai High Court, means Madras High Court, which says very clearly that what is this got to do with the criminal record? Law doesn't say anything about it. That if you have a criminal record, so you cannot take it. No, law doesn't say that you can take it. Means in the living donor. What is the scenario, Raju bhai?
So scenario was that when I was in Apollo Hospital in Ahmedabad, there is we have one police verification with the patient is from the Rajasthan, donor is Rajasthan, but not that criminal, that police clearance certificate mentioned that IPC columns, IPC mentioning their reports, police clearance report, but we have considered that donor.
Absolutely
So
right.
is there
Asking police clearance certificate is not required. Law doesn't say that person has to prove that he has no criminal record. This is an additional document. We keep asking people to just make the bigger file. The law doesn't say anywhere. I haven't read anything. Correct me if I'm wrong. But law hasn't asked that you have to provide that you should be you should not have any criminal record. So first of all, asking the documents of the PCC or police clearance certificate itself is wrong. And whether person has committed a murder or a rape or anything, yeah, probably morally it may be incorrect, but legally it is perfectly fine. So, and this was a living donor with the relatives, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
This was a living donors between the two relatives, like brothers, sisters.
Yeah, two relatives. Yes, living donor.
I mean, it's perfectly fine.
Near relatives. In case of near
relatives.
Fine.
So if my brother has committed a
Thank you, sir.
crime
Thank you.
and he has been sentenced, but he is ready to give me, probably he wants to basically do the, what do you call it, kind of give a solace to himself, or consider it कि भाई कुछ मैं अच्छा काम कर लूं by giving a kidney to my brother or my relatives. What is wrong in that? Why it should stop somebody from giving his organ? Probably now
And
after
the
his
act
criminal
doesn't
record,
say
he
anything
realized that
about
life
it.
is not of crime, but I should do something better in life. And the best thing I
And
can do
Mr.
is donate
Ajmera,
my
the
kidney
act,
to my
the
relative.
Transplantation of Human Organs Act is not saying why create things that are not there in the act.
Again, Pallavi ji, let me go back to the basic. The law was written in 1994. With the due respect to everybody and anybody who has written this law, is written in a very haphazard manner, in a very much hurry, without realizing it, what it is and what it is not. And then now we have a 700 hospitals. Out of that, about 200 hospitals and 200 transplant coordinators are there. And everybody is interpreting it in their own way. And there is no guidelines coming from the central government that what they meant. And that is also, they are not doing it properly. And I said them that please stop issuing a notification. Create a law, make it clarifications, make the clarifications into the rules as well. So many sections I told them about that this is confusing. Like one sentence, I'll tell you very clearly, it says, which I faced it personally, domicile or resident certificate. What do you mean by that one? Domicile is of in India, resident is of a state. In a one sentence, you are putting domicile or a resident certificates. You are out of your mind to putting a definition like this one. Similarly, NOC, no objection certificate. Where you find a document like a no objection certificate, the purpose and intent, they have forgotten it. In 30 years, the government at the central levels and at the state levels have not provided the proper clarifications. And now it has come to a stage that it is getting more and more confusing. So I can show you one slide where I told them so many things that where I see clearly contradictory things that you are doing it. And if those clarifications are done, I think many of our problem would be solved. And I say it has to be done on an annual basis, that every year we should have a conference or meetings and a law committee with the NATO, whereby whatever the judgment is there, what are the cases is there, and then we include in our procedural manuals, giving the clarification that this is what we meant, this is what law is. Unfortunately, nobody wants to take things in their hands, or who is going to bail the cat. It's that kind of a situation. But I'm strongly arguing with them and pushing them to the NATO. Surprise, surprise, they included me in their committee, even my strong criticism of their systems. But they like at this point in time. And hopefully we will have some positive results.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Ajmera. I would like to now sum up, because this can be unending, and I think we should have just one session, just discussion, with different scenarios.
Sridharji is trying to say something. Sridharji is trying to say something.
Yeah, please. Last one. Okay, now.
Unmute yourself, Sridharji.
Prashantji, it was fantastic discussion.
Thank you, sir.
Just one anecdotal story I will tell you. I belong to a place known as Belgaum. One of the student who passed out his graduation, he was trying to get some certificate from the government. He had a couple of rounds of visits there. Finally, he got fed up. Then he said, what is this happening? The one person will go to next table. Just the fellow was keep on rounding. Then he understood the entire process. Just outside that office, under the tree, he kept one table and he sat there. He said, any paperwork, I will help you. And he was charging only 1 rupee for that. The situation came when this person used to put one signature and then the paper used to go inside. The clerk will say, okay, that signature is there, okay, that's fine. So it will go to next table, okay, signature is there, all documents correct. Finally, it went to the commissioner. Commissioner was observing, what is this signature? Whose signature is this? He went back and traced out, and this boy was sitting under a tree. He called him. He said, how do you know all this? He said, I have spent 1 month to understand this process. Nobody is ready to give correct, clear guidance. So I understood.
Exactly.
I am making things clear. So exactly it is like this, what you are telling,
Yeah, absolutely.
People have just push to the next table, that's all. But once you understand,
nobody wants to take the responsibility or make a decision.
Correct.
Even in my case, I was told upfront, right on our face, that go to the High Court and get an order. We're not going to make a decision. And I have seen in other cases as well. And we do not want that situations. And now with the several cases going against the government, hopefully, the government has realized it that this is not the good way to do it. And if we should have a more clarified situation. And if that happens, it would be much better for the transplant coordinator, hospitals, ethics committees, and everything. And the procedural manuals are not there. I have seen in Western countries, the procedural manuals are given in such a details that you have 99% they are not wrong in making their decisions. And based on that one, we are also not wrong in advising our clients that what documents we need and what documents we do not need it.
Exactly. I'll tell you one more.
And I know it's a painful task, but as an association, if the government does it, which I'm recommending them very strongly, but if it doesn't happen, I think as an association,
we would like to do that as a body, as a NATCO, as a body.
Right, yeah. I think we should start doing it. I have a very limited experience, but you guys have more experience. If we put everybody's things together and develop our system of collecting the information and gather the documents from them and get these things on regular basis, it becomes our life easy. The transplant coordinator's life would be easy. And if we have collected good information and documents, and then we give it to the hospital ethics committee in government, it would be easy. But then they will not have a much room to deviate from what we have submitted.
Absolutely. In fact, I am working on paired kidney donation. The biggest taboo in the doctors and the transplant coordinators' mind is, committees will not approve it. It is a harassment, big harassment. They want only the first degree, second degree is not allowed. So the basic resistance is within the system itself, from the hospital authorities itself. So it's a big challenge, I will tell you. What you said is right. It has to be channelized.
But it has to be channelized, and we have to come up with these strong documents and taking everybody's experience. Because I'm not an expert. I won't say I'm an expert. This is my personal story. And as I'm an immigration lawyer, I'm sharing with you. But this is all about our own documents. Why? Like in my case, what has happened is like a bizarre thing has happened. I don't know how many of you are aware of it. But one of the hospitals where we didn't do our transplants, my wife and my sisters, both were born in Mumbai. The hospital was 2 kilometers away from them. And then this hospital is asking the Canadian government to confirm that they have no objection to this documents, to these operations. And also confirm this Indian birth certificate. They want the Canadian government to confirm that they are related.
My God.
See, the points which this hospital and transplant coordinators are missing is, and I had to give them a piece of my mind. And I said, really, see, the intentions of this particular sections and Form 21 is that when you are not born in India, when your documents are foreign, then you go for that one. But in order to just shift the responsibilities, they will say, they don't want to use their common sense. They say that, okay, you get it from the government. And then people go and get it or don't get it. And then this is what happens. But you have to use the common sense that why it is being made and why that particular section is that. It is not being elaborated very clearly. I'm a Canadian citizen. I'm an OCI card holder. But I'm born in India. All the documents are here. So use your common sense that we have it or not. No, you need to get the documents from your government. It is for the foreigners. Yeah, if the Canadian-born citizen is coming, if Canadian-born wife is coming here for an operation, then you say that, okay, we need this documentation verification. I understand.
Very
So
true.
anyway, this story can go on and on.
Yes.
This is
I
I'm
think
very
so.
passionate about this subject because it's
Yeah.
aligned with my profession as an immigration lawyer, and what you guys are doing is no different. And that's why I got involved into this much, and I got a success because of that.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Mr. Ajmera. And
Very nice.
I'll now conclude it because I
Hemal,
really
there are still many questions in the chat, so I think we need to do a part 2 of this
we
webinar.
need to do something different.
I'll be
at the
there,
time.
Pallaviji. I'll
Yes,
be
you have
there.
to be there.
Yeah.
And
I
maybe
think
we
we
can have
should
a
just
few more
ask the
coordinators.
members,
share.
write up their queries and all. We put it into groups and grouping it, and then we can have something,
Sure.
Because there's a lot of discussion
I
happening.
don't mind doing it on a fortnightly basis or an ongoing basis. If you want to do it, I love this.
Yeah.
And that's what I was telling you, that rather than having a panel discussion, if you want to do a workshop and bring these difficult cases in front of us, front of me and other transplant coordinators, I know that they have a great experience to share with it.
Yeah.
And let's discuss this case, see that if what we can do it and get them. So help each others to make it a stronger.
So I think I shall conclude now.
Yes.
Sorry to, stop everybody from sharing their stuff and all, but I would really like to thank all our transplant coordinators who put up their cases, and also thank them for all the hard work they're doing to ensure that their patient is able to get a transplant and live a good life after the transplant. So Pranita, Guru Rajan, Harish, and Trilly, I thank you very much for sharing and making a presentation, thinking about what is good for NATCO members and putting it up. I also want to thank all the people and the transplant coordinators who joined today and were very active in the chat group about their questions and what was happening and whether police certificate is needed or DNA, is needed and all that. So it just shows that there are many things to be still resolved and sort of streamlined, like Mr. Ajmera said, that we need to streamline our working. And he also mentioned about chronological, getting all the papers chronologically done. Also, he talked about the postal system, which is used by the Ministry of External Affairs to verify documents. We have to check out those things also, which will help maybe our patients get easy access to transplant and not be running around for the papers. And I think this is what has happened today. And I hope that all of you learned a lot and, most of your queries got answered. And thank you for joining, and hope to see you in a month or a couple of months' time on the same topic with different cases. And if there are any comments, you're most welcome to write in our NATCO group and write to us directly also. You have Pallavi's and Amit's email ID. So please write to us and let us have another session on a similar topic like this. And thank you all and good evening.
Thank you, Mr. Ajmera. That was really good. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, guys. Thank you for inviting me. It was a pleasure and honors. And I'm very passionate about this.
Yeah, it comes across.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Pallavi. Thank you, Hemal and Amit and everybody, all the transplant coordinators. And anybody who needs my help, my number is there, 9898698184. Give me a call and I'll be more than happy to answer your questions or help you with your documentations.
Thank you.